Thank you very much. Good evening. And I first want to thank the VinFuture Foundation for bestowing this honor upon us. What we have been able to do can save more than 250,000 lives every year. And many of these lives that are saved are from women in poor countries. We would not be here if it were not for the generosity of the United States Congress in funding the National Cancer Institute of the United States, which funds virtually all of our research. When John Schiller and I started on this journey, we had no idea that it would lead to a vaccine that would be so successful. It was both fortunate as well as a wonderful coincidence. We are not so smart to know in advance that what we were going to do really worked well. But fortunately it did, and thank you so much. The third thing that I want to talk about, though, is when you make a hypothesis, you need to develop evidence that it actually is true. And thanks to Aimee Kramer and her dedication and follow-through, we were able to test a large number of women to test the hypothesis that one dose would be sufficient to confirm long-term prevention for HPV infection. And the results that occurred very recently, actually this week were published, show that one dose is just as good as 2 doses. And we are just so gratified by it. So before I finish, thank you again for the VinFuture Foundation and what you represent. Thank you.
You can see that we work as a team. Now, before I start my comments, I just got to say I'm totally overwhelmed. I mean, what an amazing event and what a beautiful venue to do it in. But I have to say it's a little hard to follow Alicia Keys. Okay, let's go to the scripted remarks. I hate to read stuff, but this is so important that I don't want to forget half the stuff like I usually do. So I have to say that it's really been the ultimate privilege of my scientific career to have been able to work on this HPV vaccine since its obsession. And there's really 2 reasons. And one, which Aimee and Doug will talk more about, is the public health implications. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Scientists do it for the thrill of discovery. And this vaccine has exceeded all reasonable expectations at so many places along the way that it's been thrilling to try to discover why that is the case. And we do it both for the basic science knowledge, but also because it can inform the development of new vaccines that could have the same wonderful properties as the HPV vaccine. Now, given the large enterprise required for the development and implementation of a new vaccine, it goes without saying that there are far more people than we could ever mention. But I do want to mention one guy and give a shout out to Reinhard Kernbauer, who as a postdoc in our lab was the first to really discover that 36 copies of a single protein from the virus could self-assemble into a particle that could generate very high levels of antibodies that prevented infection by the real virus. And I would also like to shout out to my 2 great colleagues, Doug and Aimee. Doug I've worked for 40 years with, and Aimee I've worked only for the last 20 years. But finally, and I'd also like to acknowledge the companies who first took what was a leap of faith to try to develop this vaccine. At the time we tried to develop this vaccine, no successful vaccine against a sexually transmitted disease had ever been developed. And to this day, there are no other ones besides the HPV vaccine. And they were able to invest hundreds of millions of dollars to see if we were right. And so lastly, I'd like to express my deepest appreciation for the VinFuture Foundation for really taking the lead to try to generate science for all. So thank you very much.
Cervical cancer is a leading cause of cancer death and mainly affects poor women. I have devoted much of my career to research that can increase access to HPV vaccines through improved understanding of the vaccines and by forging new ground about their capabilities. These vaccines have the potential to eradicate cervical cancer as well as other cancers caused by HPV. I do this to make the world a better place for women, their children, their families, and their communities. I never expected to get an award for this work, but receiving this one means everything to me. I express my heartfelt gratitude to the VinFuture Foundation for acknowledging our scientific advances and honoring our passion and commitment to a field that has the potential to improve health equity on a global scale. I am a big believer in team science. I would not be here without my strong collaborations with Dr. Schiller and Lowy, as well as the brilliant and accomplished scientists and clinicians in Costa Rica. I thank my husband and the rest of my family who are watching from home for supporting me in so many ways. You empower me to serve as a scientific leader and advance global health. Thank you.
I have been extremely fortunate in my career to build and lead teams of scientists and dedicated clinicians focused on improving public health and on improving the lives of people diagnosed with cancer. I am a cancer doctor. Such collaborations are absolutely essential to progress that we can make. So I dedicate my award to these teams and most importantly to the thousands of patients who selflessly volunteered for our research studies in the hopes that they would help others. My sincere gratitude to the VinFuture Foundation and to the Prize Council for this incredible honor. I have to also acknowledge my research laboratory because without them, I could accomplish nothing. I appreciate their hard work and their dedication. And also, thanks importantly to my family. My husband David and my daughters Leah and Sana are here, and I thank them for their support and love. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. VinFuture Grand Prize 2025 laureates.